The movie opens with a tense underwater operation. The main character is Stratton, an elite sergeant from the UK's Special Boat Service. He and his teammate Marty receive orders to travel to the Middle East and eliminate a virus production facility. A covert submarine deploys them into the 34 AG Strait, along with two other teammates, including AJ, who provides remote support. According to the plan, the team must enter the facility through a drainage pipe. Once they reach the pumping station, Stratton uses a specialized tool to cut an inspection opening in the pipe. Meanwhile, AJ hacks into the station's control system and shuts down the water pump fan. Fully equipped, Stratton and Marty begin their underwater swim toward the target. They need to cover nearly a kilometer, but halfway through, their diving systems suddenly issue warning alerts. Their oxygen levels have already dropped to 50%. Stratton quickly realizes the water contains a corrosive substance that is eating through their oxygen lines. As if that were not bad enough, an iron grate missing from their intelligence reports blocks their path. With no time to hesitate, Stratton pulls out his cutters and starts working on the grate. At the same moment, Marty's diving system corrodes and completely fails, releasing all of his oxygen. Marty switches to his backup tank, which has barely 2 minutes of air left. After a hard struggle, Stratton manages to cut through the grate, but his own equipment also fails due to the corrosion. The situation becomes critical. They are forced to take turns breathing from the single backup tank while pushing forward at full speed. Even then, they are still 300 meters away from safety. Before they can recover, another disaster strikes. The pump fan, which was supposed to be shut down, suddenly restarts. Its powerful suction pulls Marty toward it like an invisible force. Stratton reacts instantly, swims after him, and grabs Marty with all his strength. He manages to drag him into a side pipe, narrowly saving his life. Back at base, AJ and the team are extremely tense as they monitor the situation. By now, both divers have completely run out of oxygen. With no other option, they hold their breath and swim desperately toward the exit. At the very last possible second, they break free and survive. After stabilizing themselves, Stratton cuts through a lock. The two men force open a drainage grate and climb out. They slowly move toward the target area, relying on touch and instinct. The surroundings are disturbingly quiet. They travel a long distance without encountering a single person. The silence makes them uneasy, as if everyone knew they were coming and escaped beforehand. Without overthinking it, they begin planting explosives on the chemical equipment. This is their primary objective. After that, they only need to collect a sample of the chemical weapon to complete the mission. However, when they enter the laboratory, a deep sense of foreboding overwhelms them. That feeling is quickly confirmed. Every person inside the lab is dead. There are no survivors. Stratton touches one of the bodies and feels lingering warmth. These people were killed very recently. The chemical weapon that was supposed to be stored here is also missing. It is clear that someone arrived before them. This makes Stratton suspect an internal leak, as if someone warned the enemy about their operation. However, there is no time to investigate now. They must exfiltrate immediately. After receiving the message, AJ quickly arranges a helicopter extraction. As the two men move toward the rendezvous point, they stay alert. Suddenly, the once silent factory grounds fill with heavily armed gunmen. Stratton and Marty react instantly and open fire. However, the enemy holds the high ground. Even with their elite training, they are quickly overwhelmed. Stratton is forced to detonate the explosives early to create a diversion. They hijack an old pickup truck and speed away. Gunmen immediately pursue them in multiple vehicles. A running gunfight breaks out along the road. The truck is too old and too slow to escape. As they climb a dirt incline, the weak engine finally gives out. They are trapped. Enemy forces surround them from all sides. Using the truck as cover, the two return fire as best they can. Then the enemy leader steps forward with a sniper rifle. He takes aim and pulls the trigger. The bullet strikes Marty in the neck, severing an artery. Stratton rushes to him and immediately applies first aid. A helicopter arrives moments later. Under heavy cover fire from the door gunner, they load Marty onto the aircraft. The helicopter lifts off at once. Stratton keeps slapping Marty's face, desperately trying to wake him, but Marty is already gone. His death hits Stratton like a crushing blow. Back in London, Stratton cannot even bring himself to answer a call from Marty's wife. He goes to his father's small boat to clear his head. When they meet, his father, Chan, instantly senses his son's pain. Knowing Stratton is carrying a heavy burden, he takes him to a bar to unwind. The two drink together, and for a brief moment, the pain seems to ease. The next day, Stratton pulls himself together and reports to MI6. He meets the section chief, codenamed Kim, expecting punishment for the failed mission. Kim does not blame Stratton at all. Instead, she urges him to stay focused and track down the missing chemical weapon. After leaving her office, Stratton goes straight to AJ. She is also under immense pressure from the mission. Stratton comforts her and tells her they must keep moving forward. Some things are simply beyond their control. Just then, another colleague from mission support, Cummings, walks in. He seems surprised that Stratton has not been suspended. Stratton dismisses him and changes the subject. Once AJ has calmed down, they review the mission footage together. Both focus on the man who killed Marty. They identify him as the leader, but find no information about his identity. For now, the investigation reaches a dead end. Stratton returns to base to pack up Marty's belongings. After the funeral, he will need to deliver them to Marty's family. At that moment, a man in uniform suddenly suddenly appears behind him. His name is Walker. He is sent from headquarters to replace Marty as Stratton's new partner. Walker previously served under Marty, who once saved his life. Because of that debt, he turned down a promotion to come here and work with Stratton. Stratton understands that Walker wants revenge for Marty. However, he warns him not to let personal emotions interfere with the mission. Later, Kim calls for a full briefing. The team confirms that the stolen chemical weapon is called Satang Snow. It is created from one of the most dangerous pathogens known to humanity. If released, it would cause a global catastrophe. Stratton adds that the man they encountered is the leader of the gunmen. When Kim studies the image closely, she immediately recognizes him. His name is Borov. He is a former Russian intelligence agent and a disinformation expert operating across Europe. 9 MI6 agents have been killed by Borov. After disappearing for 20 years, he has suddenly resurfaced. Kim realizes exactly how serious the situation is. She calls Stratton and Cummings into her office. Kim reveals that years ago, MI6 set a trap by planting false evidence. This operation publicly labeled Borov as a double agent. As a result, Borov was attacked by his own country. That same year, he was reportedly killed by his own comrades. Everyone believed Borov was dead. Now, 20 years later, he has returned and stolen a chemical weapon. This confirms that he has begun his long-planned revenge. Kim orders the team to use every available resource to eliminate Borov as quickly as possible. What she does not know is that Borov has already taken action. To test the weapon's lethality, Borov installs a dispersal device on a truck. He orders 2 masked men to drive it into a village. Curious children run alongside the truck as it passes through. Within moments, everyone collapses. The entire process takes only 30 seconds. The attack kills 148 civilians. MI6 receives the report immediately. The entire team is left in shock. AJ concludes that if the toxin were released at high altitude, the destruction would be unimaginable. However, dispersing the chemical in that way requires extremely advanced technology. At present, only 2 individuals know how to do it. One is Adnan Holmes. The other is Ilawi. Only Ilawi fits their situation, as he worked with Borov 20 years ago. Without wasting time, the team travels to the city where Ilawi is hiding. When the target appears, Stratton and AJ pose as a couple to get close to him. Walker receives the signal and drives in. They successfully capture Ilawi. However, interrogating him proves difficult. Someone who once worked with Borov is not easily frightened. Despite Stratton using threats and persuasion, Ilawi refuses to speak. That changes when Ilawi sees a video on AJ's phone. She tells him the footage was taken by a sniper who is currently watching his son. If Ilawi refuses to cooperate, he will never see his child again. Terrified, Ilawi agrees to talk. He confirms that he helped Borov synthesize the chemical weapon. However, Borov is already gone. Borov has traveled to Greece to meet a drone expert named Gray. His plan is to use drones to disperse the chemical weapon. This method would be far more efficient and deadly. Hearing this, Stratton finally loses his composure. They leave immediately. Keeping someone like Ilawi alive would only create future problems. In no time at all, they arrive in Greece. AJ remains in the car to handle surveillance. Walker and Stratton use the address provided by Ilawi to access the rooftop. They enter Gray's apartment by breaking in through a skylight. Inside, they find a drone positioned in the center of the room. It is custom-built specifically for Borov. Walker begins placing micro cameras around the apartment. Stratton uses his phone to photograph the drone from multiple angles. Down on the street, AJ spots Gray returning home. After confirming his identity with a photo, she immediately signals them to abort the mission. Upon receiving the warning, Walker and Stratton retreat the same way they entered. Gray and his men enter the apartment soon after. They notice nothing out of place. As dusk falls, a small van pulls up outside Gray's building. Under the team's surveillance, the man who steps out is revealed to be Borov. Walker wants to move in immediately, but Stratton stops him. He knows the timing is not right. Borov enters the apartment and meets with the group. Stratton and the team monitor everything through the micro cameras. From the conversation, they learn that Borov ordered 4 drones from Gray. 3 have already been delivered. This is the final one. They also discover that the drones are fitted with GPS modules. Once an activation code is entered, the drones will fly to pre-programmed targets. Gray complains about the effort he put into the drones and demands proper payment. Just as Borov is about to respond, he hears an unusual electronic signal. The sound comes from a computer displaying a nearby soccer match. Borov immediately recognizes it as electronic interference. He walks over to the computer, quickly locates the hidden camera, and smashes it to the ground. All Stratton's team sees is static, followed by gunfire. After killing Gray, Borov does not leave right away. He makes a phone call instead. Moments later, 2 large men step out of the van. Together, they pack up the drone, carry it downstairs, and load it into the vehicle. Just as they are about to drive off, Walker ignores all orders and charges forward. Seeing this, AJ drives out to block the road. Borov attacks her vehicle. In the chaos, her car spins out of control and crashes into a wall. Borov takes advantage of the situation. He jumps back into the van and speeds away. Stratton and Walker cannot stop to check on AJ. They have no choice but to chase Borov in their car. Walker's impulsive move has put them at a serious disadvantage. A high-speed chase tears through the streets of Greece. After evading them for a while, Borov spots a narrow alley beside a cafe. He accelerates and crashes his van into into the alley, completely blocking it. By the time Stratton and Walker arrive, they can only step out of their car. They watch helplessly as Borov escapes. Back in London, Stratton meets with Kim. The mission has failed again, and he expects to take responsibility. Once more, Kim does not blame him. Instead, she reveals new information. She explains that she investigated how Borov survived. It turns out that Borov's comrade from years ago could not bring himself to kill him. Instead, he secretly helped Borov escape. Not long ago, the two crossed paths again. That former comrade had risen to become the Deputy Minister of Defense. In an effort to advance his own career, he handed Borov the chemical weapon files. His plan was to cause a massacre and frame the current defense minister, clearing his own path to power. Borov refused the offer. He then killed the man who had once spared his life. Borov wanted the chemical weapon for his own long-planned revenge. Kim then reveals a shocking secret to Stratton. The person who fabricated the evidence to expose Borov all those years ago was her. At that time, she was an unknown junior agent. To fast-track her career, she volunteered to take part in the operation against Borov. Over several months, she fed him false intelligence. During that time, she gained his trust. Eventually, the two developed feelings for each other. However, for the sake of her country, she framed Borov as a double agent. This caused his own nation to turn against him and hunt him down. Kim fell into depression for a long time afterward. What no one realized was that Borov's path of revenge was partly driven by this past relationship. Later, Stratton returns to base and finds Walker packing his belongings. Walker knows the mission failed because of his reckless actions. He also understands that his behavior nearly got his teammates killed. Expecting to be dismissed, Walker waits for Stratton's judgment. Stratton says nothing. He simply tells Walker to follow him. The two travel to Stratton's father's boat. Stratton hopes his father's wisdom will reach the young man. He steps into the cabin, leaving the two alone to talk. Their conversation is calm and open. Sean even shares details about Stratton's past. It turns out Stratton and Sean are not biologically related. When Sean first found Stratton, the boy was only 9 years old. His parents were already dead. He had been surviving on his own for nearly a year. Wanting to give him stability, Sean chose to adopt him. From that day on, the two relied on each other like family. Through his words, Sean teaches Walker not to remain trapped by past mistakes. Instead, he urges him to look forward and protect the people beside him. This quiet wisdom is what shaped the man Stratton became. Meanwhile, back at MI6 headquarters, technicians attempt to decode the drone's GPS module. The flight path has been heavily encrypted by the enemy. They are unable to determine the exact coordinates. Since Borov is Russian, Kim orders Cummings to contact Russian intelligence. She hopes cooperation might help stop Borov. After receiving the order, Cummings returns to his office. There, he notices an email waiting for him. After reading it, his expression tightens. He quickly closes the door. Cummings is revealed to be the Russian mole inside MI6. His contact was the Deputy Minister of Defense whom Borov killed. The email is from Borov himself. Borov threatens Cummings and demands the return of the drone's GPS module. Terrified, Cummings hurriedly packs away sensitive documents. Determined to survive, he steals himself and goes to see Kim. He presents her with what he claims is exclusive intelligence. It is a photo of an American journalist imprisoned in Syria. Cummings says this information was intentionally leaked by Russian intelligence. They inform MI6 that they are willing to cooperate. They also agree to hand over the journalist. However, they demand the drone's GPS module in exchange. Kim believes the deal is workable. Soon after, Stratton and Walker receive orders to proceed to the exchange location. While waiting, they carefully study the photo of the journalist. They notice a distinct tattoo on the inside of his right elbow. Not long later, a Russian intelligence agent arrives with the target. Walker retrieves the GPS module from the passenger seat. At first, the exchange appears to go as planned. Just before leaving, Stratton notices something is wrong. The man has no tattoo at all. Stratton and Walker exchange a silent glance. They say nothing and gently help the man walk forward. When they open the car door, they make a grim discovery. The real journalist was killed long ago. They immediately drive away from the scene. Back at headquarters, they go straight to Kim to report what happened. Stratton explains that several recent missions were anticipated by the enemy. This strongly suggests an internal leak. The mission details were classified and known to only a few people. The only person with full access who was not deployed in the field was Cummings. Walker attempts to add more, but Kim stops him. She believes it is too early to reach a conclusion. They need to hear directly from Cummings first. When Kim goes to his office, it is empty. Cummings has realized he's about to be exposed and has fled. Even so, Kim knows this cannot be their main focus right now. Borov and the drone remain the greatest threat. Soon, the decoding team delivers critical news. They have successfully extracted the drone's program target coordinates. A 3D model generated from the data reveals the target is London. If Borov detonates the drone over London, the result would be catastrophic for the entire country. MI6 begins monitoring all ships arriving from Greece. Only one vessel carrying a possible drone enters UK waters. It even docks illegally along the Thames. After confirming the ship's location, Kim immediately deploys a special unit led by Stratton. By the time the team arrives, the drone is already being moved onto the deck. Sensing the danger, Borov acts fast. He jumps onto a speedboat, takes the newly delivered drone, and escapes. Stratton and Walker quickly seize another boat and give chase. A violent pursuit and gunfight erupts along the Thames. Just as they are about to reach Borov, a drawbridge ahead begins to close. Borov and his men slip through in time. Stratton and Walker are trapped on the other side. They can only watch as Borov disappears into the distance. After learning Borov escaped, AJ prepares to drive the surveillance van back to headquarters. Suddenly, a forklift blocks her path. A man climbs into her van. It is Cummings. Under his threat, AJ is forced to drive to a location he chooses. On the way, she keeps him talking to distract him. At the same time, she secretly calls Stratton. Stratton answers and hears their conversation. He immediately understands that AJ is letting him listen in. AJ urges Cummings to surrender. She tells him that if he stops helping the enemy, he might still survive. Cummings knows exactly what he has done. He also knows there is no escape from the consequences. After saying this, he raises a gun to his own head and pulls the trigger. He believes this is the only way out. Hearing the gunshot, Stratton is overcome with panic. Moments later, he receives a message from AJ and feels a wave of relief. He immediately drives toward her location. Meanwhile, AJ becomes curious about Cummings' final words and decides to investigate the warehouse. Inside, she is shocked to discover Borov and his men moving the drone. AJ immediately reports this to Stratton. At the same moment, Borov walks toward the bus where AJ is hiding. He climbs to the upper deck and opens the bus's sunroof. His men use a crane to lift the drone and carefully lower it into the bus. This reveals their new plan. They intend to transport the drone using the bus. Once everything is ready, the bus leaves the abandoned warehouse. AJ quickly shares her location with Stratton. However, there are too many buses on the road to identify the correct one. Thinking fast, AJ comes up with a solution. She quietly moves to the back of the bus. She turns on her phone's flashlight and repeatedly takes photos facing outward. Stratton and his team arrive shortly after. They easily spot the flashing light and lock onto the correct bus. They begin following it closely. When the bus reaches the outskirts of the city, Kim gives the order to engage. Stratton and Walker immediately accelerate. Stratton leans out and fires at the bus. Borov realizes they are under attack. He rushes to the upper deck and opens the sunroof. He attempts to launch the drone immediately. Due to the intense gunfight below, the bus swerves violently. This makes it impossible for the drone to take off. Stratton seizes the opportunity and forces his way into the bus. He begins fighting the gunman inside. Walker moves in and shoots the driver. Before the bus completely loses control, Walker throws a grenade inside. The explosion knocks Walker unconscious. Stratton is struck by shrapnel in his leg. He grits his teeth and pulls the metal out. Moments later, Borov also regains consciousness. Stratton spots the drone outside the bus. He pulls out a grenade and prepares to crawl out to destroy it. Borov shoots him from behind. Using his remaining strength, Stratton keeps moving forward. He is hit by another bullet. Still, he crawls out of the bus and prepares to detonate the grenade. Borov raises his weapon to finish him. At the last second, Walker regains consciousness and intervenes. He saves Stratton just in time. Borov opens his laptop and enters the activation code. The drone powers up instantly. Borov uses his hands to steady it. At that moment, anti-terror forces arrive at the scene. Stratton throws the grenade. The explosion kills Borov. The anti-terror units fire rocket launchers. A massive blast follows. The drone and all the chemical weapons are completely destroyed. The crisis is finally over, and with that, the story comes to an end. If you enjoy movie explanations like this, I have also opened another channel dedicated to K-drama explanations. If you love watching Korean dramas and want simple, clear explanations, make sure to subscribe to my second channel. The link is in the description and also available on the end screen.